There you are. Just a minute, please. Usual. Multi-streaming. So I have to check a few different things. I have to check that I'm in the right place on Instagram. Literally, I'm sitting in the right place. Look, I'm a bit off to one side. So I go this way. And that I am coming through on Facebook. Now, that all looks good. I went too far. Okay. Good, great. How are you? All going well? Having a good day? It's all right if you're not, but I hope you are. Right, we're going to do a bit of meditation. This isn't a class, it's just a chance to meditate together. These meditations are part of the further emergence work that I do. I'll explain about further emergence when we're finished the meditation. There's lots of different styles of meditation. This is just what I do. If you're used to meditating, brilliant. Can you hang on for a minute while I explain what I do, just for the benefit of people who are new to meditation? For me, it starts with why I would meditate. I'm trying to connect with the part of me that I connect to every night when I'm asleep. Not the dreaming bit, the bit after dreaming. So I'm dreaming and then I drop out the bottom and dreaming into deep dreamless sleep, where I have no thoughts, I've got no memories, I've no personality, I've no body, I've got no house, possessions, stories, country. I've got nothing. I don't even have me, because I sort of cease to exist, certainly in the way that I normally register my existence. So when I put it like that, that sounds awful. That sounds like death. And yet I love going to sleep. And when I wake up in the morning, I feel refreshed. So somewhere I know that that is a good place. So that's the place I want to go to when I meditate. I just want to do it consciously. So straight away, if you're new to meditation, don't try this lying down, because chances are you'll fall asleep. And if you don't fall asleep, you'll battle sleep, both of which are kind of contrary to what we're trying to do. So yeah, just sit up. You don't have to sit in a lotus position or anything like that unless you're comfortable in a lotus position. I'm just sitting in a chair. If you're going to sit in a chair, make sure it's not a big comfortable fluffy armchair that you're going to fall asleep in. You're into that side of things again. So as I say, no thoughts in this place. For some reason my mind can't seem to get there. So I have to figure out how to work with my mind, or sort of part the curtains of my mind to get into this place. So I make an arrangement with my mind. I say, look, can you just not think for the next 15 minutes, because we want to do some meditation. And now I've been meditating for years, so at this stage my mind is on board. It's like, yep, okay, fine, let's do that. If you find you get a bit of resistance from your mind, you certainly won't the first time, because you know, if your mind is like mine, it likes doing new things. But if you want to have a practice of meditation and you're 20, it's the 20th time, your mind will probably be bored. So if that happens and you get a bit of resistance, then give your mind the sorts of things that minds like. Give it some ideas, give it some concepts, give it some thoughts, you know, read a little bit about it, watch some videos, that kind of thing, and then so your mind can be on board. Then the next thing is to stop thinking. That's surprisingly easy, because regardless of the content of my thought, like what I'm thinking about, the structure is always the same. It's always pictures and sound. So if I turn off the pictures and I turn off the sound, that's it, I'm not thinking. And as soon as I do that, I'm into the practice of meditation. Now, the practice of meditation runs parallel with the intention of meditation. So my intention is to go to this mysterious, profound, calm, zen-like, still. I'm just trying to think of all the words they use to describe meditation. That place, that's my intention. And then the practice of meditation goes along with it, in tandem with it. And it starts as soon as I stop thinking. And it pretty much goes, I turn off the pictures, I turn off the sound, I stop thinking. Then some time passes and I discover I'm thinking again. And I'm like, oh, I'm thinking again, right? Turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, I bring myself back to not thinking. And some more time passes and I discover I'm thinking again. Like, oh, thinking again. Turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Then some more time passes and I discover I'm thinking again. Like, oh, thinking again. Turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking, and so on. That's the practice of meditation. Just repeatedly bringing myself back to not thinking whenever I discover that I'm thinking. That's all there is to it. Now, I alert you to that because it's quite easy to get the misconception with meditation that in order to be meditating correctly, that you shouldn't be thinking at all, that your mind is like a lake and there shouldn't be a ripple of thought on it, which isn't the case. The two go together, the practice and the intention. Sometimes you'll be very deep and still, and then other times you'll be discovering that you're thinking. And both are powerful. Like, it's kind of obviously powerful when you're very deep and still and calm. You can feel all sorts of lovely changes going on in your body. But then it's also powerful when you discover that you're thinking. It's just a bit more subtle. Because if you're like me, the sorts of things that you think about are all to do with you. So I'll be thinking, what did I say that to that person for? What am I going to do about that thing? And so on. Now, if I'm in the middle of one of those thoughts and I'm meditating and I realize that I'm thinking and I go, oh, thinking, turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, I bring myself back to not thinking. What I'm indirectly saying to myself is, you know that thought that you were just thinking, that you thought was you and that you were it? Well, you just made that thought disappear. So you're obviously not that thought. In fact, you're not any of your thoughts. You're something else. That's very profound and very powerful. And then the fact that you do that, numerous times is very powerful. So they both are powerful, okay? And the main thing is to not add to your thinking by thinking that you're doing it wrong or that you're thinking too much, because there's no set right amount of times that you should discover that you're thinking. It changes. It changes day to day and it changes hour to hour. Some days it might be a lot, other days not so much. It doesn't really matter. The main thing is every time you discover that you're thinking, you bring yourself back to not thinking. That's it. You're doing great. Now, as that is all going on, I'm also letting go of tension in my body. So I'm scanning my body from my head down to my feet and back up again. And anywhere I find tension, I let it go. And I use my out breath to let it go, because it's natural to just breathe it away. But it's also a good way to just become a bit more conscious of my breathing, because it's quite easy to hold your breath in meditation or to stop breathing altogether. So also, as I'm scanning my body, I'm paying particular attention to areas in my body that go transverse. Mostly my body runs longitudinally, but any structures that go across my body or transverse, they have a tendency to accumulate tension. A bit like a log going across a stream, picks up all the twigs and the branches going down the stream. Except in my body, it's tension. So I'm checking my eyes particularly, my jaw, my tongue, base of my neck, my shoulder girdle, all my joints there, all transverse sites, so shoulders, elbows, wrists, fingers, my heart area, my respiratory diaphragm, all my intestines, my pelvic floor, my hips, my knees, my ankles, and my toes. If you're just starting out with meditation, having a nice quiet room where you're not going to be disturbed, it's really helpful. Because one of the things that triggers thoughts is noise. And as soon as you close your eyes, your hearing is going to amplify. So the quieter the room, the best chance you're giving your mind to not think. And then the other thing I do for that is I set a timer for how long I'm going to meditate for. I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes, but if you're new to meditation, I'd encourage you to set it for shorter. Set it for like 5 minutes and then repeat it 3 times, because 15 minutes is a long time if you're not used to it. Okay, so with that all said, let me set my timer. Off we go into the mystery. Okay, if you feel like you've gone very deeply inside yourself, then take a minute to come back from there before you open your eyes. Or if you feel like you have, you can hold the inner space and the outer space, then you can just open your eyes. And if when you do that, you'll feel like you lose the inner space, then you can just close your eyes again, reconnect. Oh, yep, there it is. Open your eyes again. Oh no, lost it again. And close your eyes and so on. You can use your eyes like a valve, to equalize the inner space and the outer space. So these meditations that I do, as I said at the beginning, they're part of the further emergence. And further emergence is to do with growth, specifically inner growth or growth in consciousness or spiritual growth, and a particular aspect of that growth. So when you're a child, your body is growing, and then you become an adolescent, and then you become an adult, and your body pretty much stops growing, but you keep growing on the inside. And just like when you were a child, you might have gone through periods of accelerated growth, called growth spurts. You go through those on the inside as well. And because you're continually growing on the inside long after your body stops growing, you can go through growth spurts like throughout the rest of your life. And they're just normal and natural, but they can look like there's something wrong. And they can be misidentified as that. And they can come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. So you can feel like you just wake up one day and your life just doesn't look like it fits you anymore, or you can't recognize yourself in your life, and you can't see how you fit into it. It looks alien or different. You're looking at your life through a lens. That's one way. You can actually sometimes feel that feeling of acceleration. That's another way. Or sometimes you can just feel stuck, and there can be a feeling of back pressure building up inside. And it can be like, I don't know what it's about, but I just feel like a lot of pressure on the inside. That's another way. You can get physical symptoms. That can happen as well. You can go from, relating to everybody in your life, and everybody gets you, and you get everybody, to, the next day or the next week, nobody gets you, nobody knows what you're talking about, they'll think you're a bit nutty, and you don't get them either anymore, and you can feel quite isolated. So there's lots of different ways it can manifest. Those are just a few, and these meditations are part of what I do. They're helpful because the more familiar you are with your inner space, the easier it is to navigate these changes that are going on in your inner space. Then there's a Zoom group every week for people who are going through this process, and that's a chance to see other people and go, oh, okay, it's not just me. There are other people going through this. It's not weird. It's just a normal thing. It's a normal process, because I've been through it myself, like loads of times. I've helped loads of people through it. So yeah, the Zoom groups are for that. Bit more in-depth meditation, questions and answers. The videos for them, you'll see them in the feeds wherever you happen to be looking at this. And then I work with people one-to-one as well. And that's a combination of working in inner space and outer space. In the front of the scenes, if you like. That's kind of talking and working through it. And then I also do distance work behind the scenes at the same time. So yeah, if that's further emergence, if that sort of resonates with you, if it rings any bells, then follow along on the different channels wherever you're looking at. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Follow along on that, or go to the website and have a read about it, furtheremergence.com. Okay, so thanks for meditating with me, and see you tomorrow for some more meditation. Bye.